Welcome back. We're on part two, and normally this is the hot tags, but we're talking about the best WWE champion of all time tournament. And before we get into this round, we're on actually part two of round two, but we need to go over part one of round two. And those results were as follows: John Cena beats Batista 39-5.
And again, it's beats Batista, not beats off Batista. Just
Well, you never know.
Tomato, tomato.
He does have affairs, apparently.
we all do. I had an affair with Tony once.
John Morrison watched.
Yes.
I actually like Morrison. I don't know why I'm making fun of him here. But self-explanatory, John Cena has to beat Batista in that much better WWE champion. JBL beats Mick Foley 23-17. Pretty much what I was expecting. Thought that Foley would get some votes kind of here and there, but it was a little bit closer than I thought.
He went against a wrestling god.
Yes.
Odd.
CM Punk absolutely destroyed Alberto Del Rio, thank God.
Open up my eyes, what do you see?
I see 38-3. That rhymes.
Yes.
Booyah! Little things please me.
As he says, little things please him.
There you go. There's the innuendo.
Chinese penis.
Randy Savage beats Eddie Guerrero 26-12.
Oh, yeah,
He got some Latino head.
And
like he was a chihuahua.
that
Ooh,
brings
yeah.
us to the next set of matches. Now, that is, first off, Edge against Sgt Slaughter. I voted for Edge here. He's winning 17-2 at the moment. To me, as I explained on the website, Slaughter had a cool reign. He had that feud with Hogan that was, that capped it off really well. But Edge is somebody who they gave the title to multiple times, just as like, we need to give it to somebody, let's give it to Edge, and it worked every time. So I think he needs.
From this day, he sees clearly.
One of the better themes of the last decade for sure.
We should have heard my version. It was so boss.
So what do you guys vote for on this one? Edge or Slaughter?
I'm kind of like trying to think like, yeah, Slaughter's reign was like, he was a huge heel at the time when he was feuding with Hogan. Like, I mean, when you have to switch venues because you're scared, like people are gonna get shot or whatnot, like that's you're doing your job extremely well.
Yeah.
But he really was well, Edge kind of was too. They both were kind of placeholder champions, holding it until like the big face. In Edge's case, Cena, Slaughter's case, Hogan, they both took it from them pretty quick. But, Edge's first cash-in moment, like, he was the first one to cash in Money in the Bank, and it stands as probably the best cash-in that they've ever done, because it was like, when are we going to see this guy cash in? And then he does it after an Elimination Chamber, and it kind of built the groundwork for like the ultimate opportunist shtick that he kind of used for the rest of his career. So
Kind of thing
yeah,
I use on corpses.
Oh, that's terrible. Throwing in a oof.
Well, it is like
necrophilia joke.
It's a landmark show, so I had to just hide in.
You have to, you have to
necrophilia
throw in
joke there.
need some shock necrophilia jokes thrown in.
Well, especially for Urban, because Urban's not here at the
Oh,
moment,
yeah.
and
Oh.
God rest his soul. Oh wait, he's not dead. But
Another course.
yeah, if he was, I'd do him.
But Edge had more reigns, and I think it did more for his career than it did for Slaughter. So Slaughter kind of got it during like the winding down of his career, kind of like the token to say thank you for being here for so long. Whereas when Edge won the title, it kind of capitalized him further and helped his career along. So for that, I'd have to say Edge was the better champion.
What do you think, Dace?
I voted Slaughter.
You were one of the two people who voted Slaughter.
Yeah, because he's not Canadian.
Oh yeah, I forgot that you hate Canadians and want to jizz on their faces.
Well, no, they're not good enough for my jizz.
What about Tony's jizz? Are they good enough for Tony's jizz?
I pretty much the Rebo man go jizz on them all. That's all I'm concerned.
super fly.
Who'd you vote for, Mike?
I vote for Edge.
Good man.
Yeah,
Huh.
don't vote for Slaughter. Slaughter was
Stupid
great,
fuck,
and Slaughter
man.
did what he was supposed to do, but it was another Hogan reign in the end. You know, it was sort of like Hogan came in, beat the crap out of Slaughter, and that was it.
That brings us to a pretty fun one here. I purposely set these two up to end up facing each other. Bruno Sammartino against Hulk Hogan. Hogan all the way in my book, and that's because
Yep.
in my mind, if this were broken down into like the best WWF champion, the best WWF champion, the best WWE champion, it'd be a different story for a lot of these people. So if it was all three W's, Sammartino, there's no question, is obviously the best. But if you're
No, I'm the
comparing,
best. If it was the three W's, I'll be the best, Tony. It's not Sammartino.
but if you're comparing Sammartino with the WWF Championship to Hogan with just the WWF Championship, God, I'm gonna get so tired of saying that.
The
It's
WWF.
to say because he always says the W perfectly. Uh,
WW.
yeah, the WWF.
WCW.
But if you compare those two together, Hogan had a really long reign, Sammartino had the longest. But Hogan's reign is really the reason that wrestling is what it is today. Sammartino's
Yeah, shit.
moved to that area, but it doesn't actually put them in that spot. Hogan is the one that catapulted everything, and that was because of his title reign. So
Yeah.
I got to go with Hogan on that, and there's a good possibility that his title reign is just unbeatable.
Well, an argument could be made that, like, Bruno held it for like 7 years, didn't he? Like in total, something like
Something
that,
crazy like that, yeah.
crazy length. It could be argued like if he held it for that long, obviously he was a drawing champion. You know, they wouldn't have kept it on him for that long if he wasn't doing good business. Obviously, because back then,
let
like
me ask you a
it was
question,
all
though.
at the gate. It was all gate. So
Yeah, but let me
he
ask
kept.
you.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question on that. Who drew on television and pay-per-view buys?
Yeah, but it didn't exist when he was champion, though, so it's kind of not fair to say that because pay-per-view didn't exist when he was champion. Wrestling wasn't on TV when he was champion. They
But
depended
Hogan
on
drew a
drawing
lot
money at the
more.
gate. Yeah,
Hogan
but
drew a
my
lot more,
argument
so-
is if he didn't keep the business good enough to where Vince took over for his dad and ended up creating Hogan, would Hogan have even existed to create the wrestling boom? So, Bruno kind of kept, the industry afloat when it wasn't really the biggest draw, but people were still going out to see it. And then it got taken over, and Vince, created Hulk Hogan and Hulkamania and all that phenomenon, and it just boomed when he was champion. But it can be made like if Bruno wasn't as good of a success, would all of that have came afterwards? I think is the best.
Well, who would you remember
kind of debate.
most? Would you remember Hogan or would you remember Sammartino? And I can tell you out the two, which one I can remember the most, and that's Hogan.
That's very true because.
And who's got the memorable
Hogan,
catchphrase? Who told you to eat your vitamins and drink your milk and take your steroids?
I drink beer and I eat chocolate.
What was that,
I'm
Dave?
just.
I drink beer and I eat chocolate.
I'm just playing the fun little role of devil's advocate. But yeah, Hogan, he was on TV though. He's seen on a global scale when, yeah, surely he helped wrestling boom, but would he have gotten that chance if the industry didn't stay afloat per se, and it didn't evolve? That's all I'm saying. I voted for Bruno.
And I'm assuming you're voting for Hogan, Mike.
Of course, man.
Dace, what are you thinking?
I voted for Bruno.
You voted for Bruno? 2-2.
Bruno drew on word of mouth, whereas Hogan was promoted like crazy. So I
Good
think
point.
anyone
But I
could have
mean-
been.
And now he
Hogan,
can't even
it
promote
was-
himself with a porn tape.
Back then, it was all gate money. You drew from how many people attended an arena, and he was able to do that for 7 years as champion. If he wouldn't been able to do that and business just died out, there wouldn't have been a Hogan or major TV and pay-per-view buys to come.
Yep. And I truly believe,
for at least that company.
Yeah, and I truly
That's-
believe that Bruno could face any heel and still draw a crowd, whereas Hogan would not have gotten over without a Roddy Piper.
And the King Kong Bundy.
Yeah, he needed guys like that were legitimately
And the
hated.
Sheik, and Iron Sheik. I'm pretty sure he feuded with him too. He had
Shake
to have.
it, baby.
He had to have people that were legitimately hated by the crowd so much that they just had no option but to love Hogan. So that's why I would go with Sammartino.
Shake it,
For 7
baby
years
was
he kept going.
open a can of whoop ass on Hogan and clap on his neck.
Fun fact about King Kong Bundy: he is the brother of the guy that Dace and I had for elementary school gym class for like 6 years straight.
Yep.
Little fun fact. And
He had like a big egg-shaped head.
Yeah, you would think that the guy that we had for a gym teacher would have been the wrestler.
yeah, Pally's
This
is
he was
awesome.
huge, and he was tall, and he was built, and he would have done some damage in the WWE.
Yeah, good guy.
Yep.
Right now it's a very close match. Sammartino is at 9 votes and Hogan is at 11. So if anybody knocks out Hogan, this could be the time, and that could be a huge upset possibly for him. Well, you know what? Against Sammartino, it's not really too much of a huge upset. It's not like he'd be losing to I don't know, Backlund or somebody.
Batista or whatever, you know.
Yeah, it's losing to RVD, like that would just be
What I have to
appalling.
say is,
If somebody would vote for RVD over Hulk Hogan in this tournament, I would just shut the whole tournament down and just be like, fuck this. Just be like, this is ridiculous. How did you guys vote against Velvet Sky and against Hogan over
they do it on purpose. They're like, Tony likes him, we're voting against them. I don't even know who that girl is, but we'll vote against them.
That brings us to Yokozuna against Bret Hart. Bret's winning 100% of the vote right now, 19-0. So I'm assuming we're all going with Bret here. Yokozuna, good champion for what he was worth at the time. But as much of a fan of Yokozuna as I am, Bret Hart had to carry the company when Hogan left, and he did a damn good job as far as I'm concerned. This is the part where Dace rips on him and points our friend Chuck to the podcast so he can get pissed off.
Bret screwed Bret. That's all I'm saying.
No,
He's overrated.
It was me, Austin.
Bret screwed Bret, and Bret only became champion because there was no one left. Bret.
You know
screwed
what?
Bret.
You know what? Let me explain something to you, Dace. You're wrong.
I'm not
That's it.
wrong.
You are wrong.
You know, I'm the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be at being overrated. And it's because I screwed myself and went to WCW and got my head kicked in. Let me go wave the flag and just get Canada to back me. All 8 people there.
So that's why you're voting against him.
He does have his promo skills down pat, though. That sounds like a Bret Hart promo.
The sad thing is I voted.
But in terms of being a champion, I mean, I don't think there's like any competition. You know, he had to be like the guy at a time when they were struggling, kind of like now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's kind of moved up and moved his way up to the mid card because he's like a rising prospect, so they kind of needed to put the belt on somebody. But you know, he was like as a face, he was definitely like the guy to root behind, and he carried the title with pride. And he made like his matches matter, and I think that's all you can ask for in a champion. So like it's not it's not any discredit to Yokozuna. Like he's a great big monster heel, and his title reigns served a purpose. But in terms of like carrying themselves as a champion and making like the title matter whenever they were in a feud, it's Bret Hart all the way. I don't think there's any question of that.
Yeah, I kind of wish that I would have randomized it to where Yoko could have fought instead of Psycho Sid against Big Show for the first for round 2 when we get to it, that it would have been Yoko part of that, because I would have rather had him move on instead of either one of those two. But against Bret, got to go with Bret.
Damn straight. Whoever says that, whoever doesn't go with Bret needs a damn head examined. Dace.
I chose Bret in this one. I don't like Samoans pretending to be Japanese people.
You know what? You're so racist.
I'm just saying. There's Japanese people out there that could have done the part.
No, Dace, just stop with your racism, all right?
It's not racism. I'm standing up for Samoans across the board.
We don't need that kind of racism here.
I just hate Canada.
Yeah, take that at I Got Gameplay. That's like a reverse plug.
You wait until we start reviewing Raw vs. SmackDown. I've got Raw vs. SmackDown 2011 with Bret Hart on the cover. I'll rip that one a new asshole.
And finally, we've got Chris Jericho against Kurt Angle. Love Jericho, big fan of Kurt Angle, but at the same time, if you're comparing title reigns for just the WWE Championship, Jericho doesn't really match up to Angle as far as I'm concerned. Now, I wasn't watching wrestling. I wasn't watching wrestling when Angle was at his prominence, but from what I've caught up to and everything like that, Jericho's undisputed title reign does not match up to Kurt Angle's. Now, what I'm going to say is a little weird, but at the same time, I think I'm justified in saying this. The next round is going to be against Bret Hart. I would vote against either these two and go for Bret Hart. So
I just can't believe you just said that. You've lost all credibility in my eyes.
What, Jericho's?
You lost all credibility for what?
Jericho beat Austin and The Rock.
But they booked him like shit afterwards.
Yeah, it can't be hang your hat up on the one thing. You can on some people because that's really all it was. But with Jericho, he's more of a world heavyweight championship type of guy. Kurt Angle, he seems to have held his own pretty well up against people like The Rock and everything like that.
Really?
Jericho winning the title was a huge moment, but winning it can't be your biggest moment throughout the entire title reign. You got to take the whole reign into account.
And you've got Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar at the
he won it basically. Yeah. He won it basically just for Triple H to feud with somebody when he came back as a babyface.
Yeah, but Kurt.
That's it.
Yeah, but what about Angle? Angle had his best matches were after he was WWE Champion. He only kept the title warm for The Rock. That was it. He didn't actually do much with it. Yeah, he had Stephanie McMahon with him, right? He won the championship, and then he started feuding with like everybody.
Well,
but he didn't do anything.
Also a multiple-time champion. It's not like he only won it once.
No, but he didn't do it legitimately. I mean, no, the first time he won the championship, he didn't win it legitimately. And yeah, he was a multiple-time champion, but he won a title, then lost it, then won it and lost it, then won it and lost it. He never actually had that sort of. If you compare him to someone like JBL, for instance, I would actually choose JBL over Angle because JBL did more with the belt than Angle did. Angle held the championship, yeah, and he had some good matches. But can you actually name the memorable Angle feud compared to
Jericho's
the
reign?
Man who became the undisputed champion, merged both titles together? Granted, he was holding it for when Triple H was coming back, but he actually held his own against Austin and The Rock on more than one occasion.
As I was saying, Angle's championship reign that he won at the end of 2002, he held it all the way to WrestleMania. Same thing with Jericho and lost it to Brock. I mean, it's basically the same thing, and he held it multiple times.
Yeah, but
he had that amazing title defense against Chris Benoit at the Royal Rumble 2003. I mean, that match was insane. It was awesome. Really a standout match. And
did you say because Benoit was in it?
I forgot we were doing versus He Who Shall Not Be Named.
It was Kurt Angle versus a blank block that just kept bouncing off ropes.
Big sensor bar. You mean he was fighting Muhammad?
Missing no.
It was Kurt Angle versus himself. He's duplexing the air. You know.
Kurt Angle had a bye.
I just think Angle did more with the championship than Jericho did. By far.
Yeah, but as I said, at the end of the day with me, I feel that Jericho's title reign was more meaningful because a lot more people actually knew the title reign. They understood it, and also the fact that he had a great build, not just as the champion, because he was kind of the underdog going into it, but he had a great build holding the title as well. They established him as a good champion. It wasn't the most amazing title reign, but I feel still, ideally, it was better than Angle's because Angle was remembered for a lot more than being WWE Champion. Hell, he was WCW Champion for what? A day?
Something like that.
Best WCW Championship title reign. Kidding. Who'd you go with these?
I chose Chris Jericho.
Damn straight.
Well, it's actually... Go ahead.
He puts on hell of matches, and I think he defended it on Raw a couple times during that time frame.
Well, it's a close match right now. It's Jericho has 10 and Angle has 2. 12, not he has 2 over him.
I was gonna say 10-2. That's not very close.
Not very close.
Yeah, that's. I don't know what kind of maths you're doing there, Tony.
Yeah, 12-2 right now. So 12
I'm
to 2
putting
on
my
season
vote in.
again. Jeez, 12-10. So that's gonna end up being one to watch. That's it then for this week. Make sure you guys vote. Same old time as always. Poll shut off at Tuesday night, and that's going to lead us into the Hell in a Cell predictions, and we're going to start that off with the pre-show talk and some divas, even though they haven't been officially announced yet when we're recording this, which is Thursday night, but fuck it.
Jericho's winning. Yay!
Spoiler alert, I'm not going to watch the pre-show.
Spoiler alert, I agree. So check out part 3 coming up right now.